recording 2. All right, Mike.
Thanks, Tim. So in this recording, we're oh, sorry. I thought you were handing over to me. Sorry, please.
Yeah, so I will hand over and tell us about the time management matrix.
Sure, thank you. So the time management matrix. So we basically plot on an X and a Y. The X is urgency, so how urgent is any particular task that you have to do? And the Y is importance, so how important is any particular task that you have to do? So as you can see from the diagram, it's then divided into 4 main sections. So the first section, bottom left, represented by the rubbish bin, is things that are not urgent and not important. The key thing that we recommend to do here is to stop doing these things. These things are generally kind of emails that come through, distractions, checking your email 100 times a day, social media, getting the 10th coffee of the day, all these kind of things that you don't need to do. They're not urgent and they're not important. Of course, try to suppress and minimize those things. To the right of that box are things that are urgent but not important, represented by 3 acronyms: MBP, my boss's problem; SEP, someone else's problem; NMP, not my problem. These can be very similar to those tasks in the bottom left box. The crucial thing here is, again, we want to minimize these things. Now, if your boss directly delegates something to you, you may have to do it. But generally speaking, these are not tasks that are aligned with anything particularly important to us. And so we want to minimize these tasks. Moving to the top right quadrant, we're represented by the fire. These are tasks that are both urgent and important. The key thing here is that we do need to get these things done. They must be done because they are urgent and important. But keep an eye on this quadrant, because what you want to avoid is spending too much time here and not being able to focus your attention on the most important quadrant, which is the top left. These are tasks that are not urgent, but they are important. This can be things like prevention, things like training, but most crucially, this is where your long-term goals live. They are not urgent. You don't have to do anything today or tomorrow, but they are the most important things to you. And the I represents keeping you in the driver's seat and keeping a focus on your long-term goals. So, Tim, the question is, how is this important to our ambassadors?
Well, it's important on a number of different levels. One of them is actually the sales aspect of Eisenhower's matrix, or the time management matrix, which is the following. The ambassadors are all in internal service positions. So they service the needs of the organization, and they service the needs of a much larger community. So even though they probably won't like being called this, they're salespeople, yeah, internal sales reps. And as we know, nobody likes being called a sales rep. But if the hat fits, wear it, yeah. So embracing this from Eisenhower's matrix perspective is the following. As a prioritization mechanism, I understand what's really important for me moving forward, and I focus my attention there, and I try and decrease the focus on firefighting. Yeah, obviously firefighting will take precedence and priority number 1, but by focusing on what's important, I'm achieving my longer term goals first. The sales aspect says all of my internal customers also have long-term goals, and they also have fires that they're fighting today. And so there is a truth within sales. If I can understand the fires that you are fighting today, then I may be able to earn the right to understand what bigger problems you need to solve tomorrow, in 1 year's time, in 3 years' time. And so asking questions about what your long-term goals are should be mixed with asking questions about what are your challenges today, and then seeing if I can find solutions for both of those things. So on the right of Eisenhower's matrix in the Miro board is a thing called a coverage plan. And a coverage plan is a template which basically allows you to, it's a salesperson's tool of how to keep information about your internal customers. What are their goals? What are their problems? What are their challenges? And what can we do in order to help them solve those things? Yeah. So this is a topic that didn't become really identified as being a topic within the ambassadors' work while I was with them, but there were topics on the agenda which were definitely moving in this direction. So word of advice: create a coverage plan for your own internal stakeholders, your own internal customers, and then share it with other people in the ambassadors group, because they will have similar customers with similar challenges moving forward. So the internal sales, the internal marketing, the internal positioning of all of the value that the ambassadors work can bring is really related to that topic of the coverage plan, internal prioritization. And I think the other key takeaway from Eisenhower's matrix for the ambassadors group was we were constantly faced with the topic of why is this important, and in what way is it more important than something else? So as we move around the concept wheel and get closer to the Kanban board, the Kanban board was an exercise in deciding what are all of the things that we need to do, and when are we going to do this one first or second or third? So the constant process of prioritization should be linked with the constant process of describing why things are important. Again, leading back to this central principle of explain why we are here. Yeah, not just what we have to do, not just how we're going to do it, but why it's important, and this integral sense of prioritization.